The new Song of Troy KVK has landed in Rise of Kingdoms, and today I got exclusive access to check out this KVK and tell you all about it. Join me to learn more. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms gameplay episode from your very own Shabby Gaming. And today we are going to be checking out the Song of Troy KVK. I got exclusive access to this through Lilith's test server. All the footage you see in this video came from that test server, and I could not have done this without you. If you guys are new to the channel, I'm a sponsored Rise of Kingdoms content creator, and I got this access because I have this amazing community. So if you're new to the community, be sure to hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner, and join the Chappy Squad. Now, without further ado, let's watch through this intro video for when you first enter in this KVK, because it's pretty crazy and I haven't really seen anything like it. So check this out. So the main plot of this KVK is that you are going to either be on Achilles' side or you're going to be on Hector's side. And that's why they have these two commanders that they've released. And the whole point here is Helen escaped to Troy, and Achilles got taken off his island, and now he is going to come fight against Hector and the Trojans. Ultimately, they come up with the Trojan Horse, but this is actually what you're going to see when you join this KVK for the first time. They show you stout-walled Troy. I'm assuming that is the new Great Ziggurat. Conquer this place and you'll be known as the greatest. There we got Helen, who's saying she was misled by Aphrodite. The graphics are interesting. They're not really like what we see in typical Rise of Kingdom stuff, but I think it's pretty cool. And so there are some really interesting mechanics as part of this KVK, and I think they're actually going to show you. You have the Olympian Arena. Now in this, they create a neutral battleground where you send different marches. Now what's interesting is you have no governance over how your different marches actually attack other marches or how that's controlled. It's just a new mechanic that they've added to the game, kind of like what we've seen in the Ragnar KVK, but I think it's just a little bit different. They've also introduced something called the Trojan Horse. Trojan Horse is a really interesting mechanic here. What it enables you to do is R4 can say you can move it or you can't. You can hide troops in the Trojan Horse, as one would expect, and then you can move that Trojan Horse depending upon if your R4s let you. What's cool about the Trojan Horse is you can put troops inside of them and you can garrison them, and you can take damage from the Trojan Horse, but your troops inside won't actually get hurt, which is pretty cool. And it lets you set territory and all of that, which I think is pretty awesome. It's a neat new mechanic, and it enables you to kind of set up territory in such a way that you're going to be more aggressive with your fighting. Though if you do teleport on, I do believe that you actually can get zeroed, so just keep that in mind. Your whales are going to be the ones that are teleporting on that territory, but it's a neat new mechanic. But that's not all they've added to this KVK. One of the biggest additions to this KVK is actually these Patron Abilities. So you'll notice them in the Pantheon on the top right. Now there are 4 abilities here. You have Athena, you have Artemis, you have Apollo, and you have Poseidon. Something to keep in mind, you actually can't swap which of your patrons that you choose after you choose them, which is a really big deal. It's not my favorite thing in the world, just being honest, but what it means is that you get a buff that is unique to you, and there are some pretty good buffs, so let's actually watch through here. Athena, you can see, her patronage grants you the following benefits here. Obtain wisdom scrolls that provide unique buffs, and activate aura skills on the battlefield that provide AoE buffs. So her thing is all about actually making it so you're buffing your allies in the field. Now the other thing that's kind of cool is if we actually look at this, you'll notice there's like a little talent tree here. And the talent tree actually enables you to level up and unlock these different abilities. Now, you can only have one ability assigned to one commander at a time, so you can't be using all 3 on one commander. But what's interesting is these abilities need to be unlocked, which means you're going to have to play KVK, you're going to have to get these coins and these scrolls to then upgrade and unlock these abilities. So here we go. This particular skill gives you a random wisdom scroll, and that just depends on the scroll pool. Her next skill, the caster troop and nearby friendly allied troops up to 10 troops total, gain a 5% bonus to damage dealt. This is huge. I ultimately actually went with this particular patron skill because I thought it was the best. And whenever your troops severely wound or kill 10,000 T4 units from enemy camps, you receive 20 level 2 resource packs up to 300 per skill cast. So that's not bad. I mean, to be honest, if you're fighting and you have all 5 marches, you're probably going to get a fair bit of resources here, but that's not what you're really in it for. But it's a nice plus. I like the bonus to damage dealt. And you can see kind of how you activate that. You just click in there. Then we have Sotira. This is another really good skill. It mighty heals the caster and nearby friendly allied troops up to 10 troops total. Every 10 seconds, healing factor of 50,000. Targets must be out of combat, and each troop can be healed for up to 500,000 slightly wounded units by the skill. The whole out of combat thing kind of kills me, but it's not bad. It could be worse. It's a neat little buff. The duration of 15 minutes is fine. Not the best, but you'll see how this compares to some of these others. Artemis is a little bit different. So if we go back for a second there, you'll notice Artemis is mainly about high battlefield mobility, instantly removing resource points and barbarian forts from the Lost Kingdom map, and teleporting your allies' troops to another place. This is really cool. This is a neat mechanic. We've seen it in Ark of Osiris, but we haven't really seen it in real combat. So here is nice because once per day you can sacrifice a resource point or a barbarian fort to Artemis, instantly removing it from the map. Passive, you'll gain gold whenever you severely wound or kill a T4 unit from an enemy camp, up to 2 million gold per day. The gold thing, 2 million gold is nothing, but this is really handy, particularly if we're talking about a territory management player, right? If you're going through and you're building flags, being able to remove a resource point or a fort is going to be huge. This also should hurry combat along a little bit because no longer can you just block something with a fort or block something with a resource point. I know we've all been there. So this is actually pretty nice to have the ability to get rid of. And again, this also has that same kind of tree mechanic that we saw with the previous skill as well. The next one is Moonlit Paths. This one's really cool as well. 20 seconds after this skill is cast, a teleportation circle appears around the caster's troops. The circle can teleport up to 10 friendly/allied troops to an aligned troop within the same province. The teleported troops gain 10% attack for 3 minutes, and you cannot teleport invisible troops. You may be like, Shappy, invisible troops, that's the next skill. Don't worry about it. This is really cool. This is really cool for a couple reasons. A, fort drops, right? If you can have one T1 march that goes to a fort drop location and 5 people have this Artemis skill that they use, you can teleport 50 marches over to that particular march, just the one, and then build a fort. That's crazy. That's actually game changing when we talk about combat. You can also think about this like if you're going to go into battle within KVK, right? A lot of the time there's just the terrible marching speed. It takes forever for you to get to the main combat, especially when a path first opens. Not anymore. So this is a really cool ability. I like the 10% attack for 3 minutes. Honestly, it doesn't really matter because I don't think a march is going to last 3 minutes, but this is really cool. So there you go. You can see it in action. It looks awesome. It's cool. It's a neat one. This next ability is Dark Moon Ambush, and this is very, very similar to what we see in Ark of Osiris. So 10 seconds after the skill is cast, the caster's troops and nearby friendly allied troops, up to 5 troops total, become invisible and gain 100% march speed for 300 seconds. The invisible troops cannot be hit by AoE skills, and when entering combat, they come out of invisibility, lose the march speed bonus, and gain 1,000 rage. This is awesome. There are a few use cases for this. One is if you're going to go and try and swarm a flag. I particularly like this because you can have a few people trigger this and then you just appear on the flag. A lot of the time, if there's a rally on that flag, there's going to be farm reinforcements that are coming in. But with this skill, you can actually kind of sneak attack those flags. And so it means that you really have to be garrisoning all flags at once. The other reason I kind of like this is if you're trying to get out of a pass and enemies are sitting there waiting for you, what you could do is you could activate the skill and march right past them. And what this means, and maybe I'm going to use it this way, is you can actually go zero all the farms that are sitting there off territory right beyond the pass because you just have to activate the skill and then you'll become invisible. And so what that means is you can just march out for 300 seconds. That's a fairly long time. Go and find a farm and totally nuke it, which I like. I think that's a cool ability. I'm here for it. I didn't choose this for the beta, but I do think it's a skill I'd probably choose in real life. The next one is Apollo. Apollo grants you enhanced benefits to strength and tactical flexibility of ranged troops, and unlock unique combat modes for your ranged troops. So this is all about range, which is surprising, but it's kind of cool. This first skill, it's all about resources, right? Instantly receive 4 hours of your city's resource output. And passive, your ranged troops can directly attack an enemy aligned stronghold durability. That's huge. That's really, really cool. We'll see how this shakes out. You can reduce up to 10,000 points of durability per day this way, but that's going to mean that you are getting rid of structures faster, especially when we talk about flags that take forever to burn or forts that take forever to burn. This, I think, is actually going to be kind of OP. If you have a bunch of people that are using this and they have multiple range marches, this is going to be a big deal. You really need like 10 players that have this ability activated to do some major damage. It does take a little bit of time, but I think it's a pretty cool ability, especially if you're going to be using range. And candidly, I feel like range has not gotten a lot of time in the spotlight lately. This next one, at Egalit's Cannon. This can be cast by a troop using V formation. The troop takes 6 seconds longer to switch to range mode. Boo. While in range mode, it gets a 50% attack range, but it recovers rage 10% slower and can only attack enemies within a certain angle. This angle can be adjusted without exiting range mode, and this lasts 30 minutes. So this is kind of like the skirmishers that we saw in the other KVK type. And I like it because I kind of bring that into this, whereas I think the other KVK is everything is ranged all the time. This is interesting. I don't know that this is my favorite skill. I like that you get the additional range, but the rage regen, that 10% is a huge debuff, and I'm not seeing a lot of upside for this skill. So it's all right. You can see the range there is fairly large, but it's not that great. I don't think it's the best skill that it could have been. The next one, Solar Chariot. This can be cast by a troop using V formation. The troop can launch range attacks without switching to range mode, but it loses 15% attack and can only attack if it has been out of your city for at least 15 seconds. If there are no enemy troops within the melee range, the troop deals 30% more damage. This is super OP because sure, you lose 15% attack, whatever, but you're going to deal 30% more damage because presumably no one's within melee range. You're not cheeseburgering with range march. This is really good. This is a great ability because A, it'll let you roach out faster because you no longer need to switch to range mode, but B, you're going to deal a ton more damage and there's no debuff to your rage output, which is huge. So this skill is what actually makes this Apollo patronage really powerful and really exciting, at least to me. Now this next one is interesting. It's Poseidon. In theory, this is the everyone could use this skill. I wasn't crazy about it. Some of the people that were using this, some of the other creators thought it was cool, but you earn a number of free barbarian troop kill rewards every day. You inflict debilitating slow effects on enemy troops, and you enhance the overall survivability of your troops. Now, I didn't get to see the specific like little talent tree that the Poseidon skill has, and I wish maybe I did. So this first skill is Violent Waves. You can instantly defeat 7 barbarian troops per day without spending action points. Honestly, 7, that's a 1-5 march. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Whenever one of your field troops enter combat, your troop and up to 5 nearby enemy troops lose 50% march speed and deal 30% more range counterattack damage. So that's not bad. The range counterattack damage is nice, especially when we have those skirmisher units there that are going to make things a little bit harder. But I'm not crazy about that. The next skill is Shield of the Sea. Your troops deal 10% less damage to and take 15% less damage from all troops other than their current target, decided after at least 2 rounds of combat. I don't like this ability. Some people might like this ability. I don't, and here's why. In KVK, you only have a finite amount of time to get kills. If you have a debuff that makes it so you're essentially dealing 10% less damage to pretty much everyone, especially when we're talking about AoE, right? Most people are running AoE marches. Achilles is an AoE march. This sucks, right? I'm glad that we are getting a buff to take 15% less damage from the current target, but realistically, in a murder ball scenario, the current target is something a bunch of people are targeting, right? So this whole take 15% less damage sucks. because that march is going to be disappearing rapidly in a murder ball scenario. So this is not really a good skill in my opinion. It's not what I would have wanted to see, and this is actually why I didn't choose Poseidon in the test. It's a nice thought, but in application, this is not what I would have chosen. And for our last skill, we have Unrelenting Fury. While this skill is active, if one of your troops has less than 50% of units remaining and is surrounded by 10 plus marches, it gains 30% damage resistance. This sucks. This sucks. Because if your march has less than 50% units remaining, you want to be getting out of there. And you should never be surrounded by 10 plus enemy troops. That should not be happening. So I didn't choose Poseidon. I don't really think this ability is particularly worth it. But what is interesting is, again, we have that talent tree there. And I wasn't really able to see this when I was going through and doing the testing. But you can see there are some sub abilities here within that talent tree. I think that might be March Speed there. So there's some abilities that you may get by choosing Poseidon. But I was not actually able to see that when I was going through and doing this particular test, because I only got one account and I went with the Athena skill tree. So that is a preview of all of the different skills in this KVK. Personally, I'm pretty pleased. Here's that tree for the Athena tree. You see you have patron points, you have the Hecatomb coins. The Hecatomb coins are the ones that you consume when you actually trigger those skills. So here you can see we have all of these different scrolls that we can get. I think it's a cool mechanic. You see you get 50% more resources from killing troops. So you can get bonuses to these abilities, which is why Poseidon may actually be somewhat good. And I could see Artemis also being good. But overall, I don't know that this is majorly game-changing. It's a really cool mechanic, though. I'm a big fan of this mechanic, and I think this KVK is going to be pretty interesting. The map is cool. You have water there. I'm wondering if there are going to be water battles. You also have bastions like you do in Heroic Anthem. So overall, I think this is a pretty good KVK, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. If you haven't already, do hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner, and join the Shappy Squad. Thank you all. Shappy out.